The first thing I did for my coursework was create a new page on my WordPress blog. This was the most suitable way to present all my work together, as it allowed sound, images, PowerPoint presentations and video clips. When using WordPress, you need to ensure that you are on the correct site, as there is a WordPress.com and a WordPress.org. There is a big difference between these two. The type of WordPress blog you choose depends on whether it's for personal blogging or business blogging, as well as .com being for United Kingdom and .org being for United States. WordPress.com is free, but any content you create on their site is legally theirs. WordPress.org is free but needs to be hosted through a third-party hosting platform, such as Lunar Pages, and this requires a fee of $7 per month. However, because you are paying for it, all the content you create is your own. The next step was research. The first bit of research I did was secondary research via YouTube. I found 3 existing teaser trailers of my chosen genre, which was horror, and embedded these into my blog page. I then went on to analyse these 3 teaser trailers in my WordPress blog and looked at conventions which ran through them all. This then led me to my initial ideas. I used Internet Explorer to research and find examples of film posters and magazine front covers. From Internet Explorer, I saved the images as JPEGs and then imported them into a PowerPoint presentation so I could analyse them. After analysing them, I saved each poster and magazine image with its analysis as a JPEG and then imported them into my blog under the Research and Planning section. For my primary research, I used Microsoft Word to design my questionnaire because it was one of the easiest and quickest ways to create a questionnaire on Microsoft Word. I used PowerPoint several times during the whole process. In the research and planning stage, I used it as an easier way to analyse existing film posters and magazine front covers. I also used it as a way to convert screenshots into JPEGs for WordPress. After conducting my questionnaire, I used Microsoft Excel to collect my results and turn them into graphs. This was one of the longer tasks of the research section, as it is quite time-consuming inputting all the data from your questionnaire together. Once I converted the data into graphs, I had to pull them into Microsoft PowerPoint and then from there save them as a JPEG, which I could then put into my blog. I didn't use the dolly because it was too big to fit in the narrow passage of the location of the film. As I had 3 years experience with using this filming equipment, I was able to quickly set it up for use and then unload my clips into Final Cut. I used a tripod to play, a lead to upload my clips, a windshield microphone, boom pole, headphones and a cable. When using the windshield, I let it pick up the atmosphere of the location before I started filming by just letting the camera roll and film a blank space. I was initially planning on using the Canon 450D DSLR to take photos for my animatic, as it takes high quality photos. However, there were restrictions with using this piece of equipment, as only people with experience in using it were allowed to put it out for usage. This was because the camera is of very high value and is more complicated to use, so if an inexperienced person was to use it, then they may damage it somehow. I quickly overcame this problem by taking out the Canon XS 95 instead, but I didn't end up using any camera, as I decided to scan in the images for my storyboard for the animatic instead, as it was quicker. I used Motion to create the text for my teaser trailer. As I constructed my text, I wrote down the steps such as fonts and sizes so that when it came to creating text for my poster and magazine cover on Photoshop, I could create same or similar text so that all 3 products would be strongly linked. I did spend a lot of time experimenting with fonts to ensure that the font I used fit in with the genre of my film, which is horror. The first task I conducted on Photoshop was to manipulate and create an image for my film poster and magazine front cover. Because I had rarely used Photoshop, I didn't know how to really use any of the tools, so I watched and followed tutorials on YouTube, which was a major help, as it showed me how to get my desired effects, such as changing backgrounds and taking unwanted parts out of the image. The tool I really disliked using was the quick selection tool, because it takes quite a lot of time to ensure precision and accuracy, but after a while you do pick up on it. Before I started creating the image for my poster and magazine, I experimented with an image and I used different tools like the smudge tool to see what kind of different effects I could create, which I may have then be able to use for my image for the poster and magazine cover. These are the links to the tutorials on YouTube which I watched to help me learn how to use Photoshop. The longest process of the construction process was editing my recordings on Final Cut. It took a long time to import it from the camcorder to Final Cut because I had filmed a lot of footage. After I imported the footage onto Final Cut, I looked at my edit decision list and I deleted the footage I knew I wasn't going to use. I didn't add too many transitions. I only used a fade in and a fade out at the beginning of the teaser trailer to show that some time had passed, and I used lots of cuts because in horror films, cuts are used to increase the pace. One thing I liked about Final Cut was how easy it is to layer the different sections, such as the music, the text and the video. I had music running throughout the teaser trailer. However, on top of that, I also needed to add in sound effects such as the scream and the door creaking, and Final Cut helped me do this. After I finished editing my teaser, I uploaded it into YouTube and asked people for feedback. Unfortunately, I didn't get any feedback after a week, so I instead had to come up with a different way to get the audience feedback. I then put the link up on Facebook and I managed to get some feedback. After failing to gather audience feedback on YouTube, I put the link to it on Facebook, which proved successful as I got lots of responses. I did get some constructive criticism, however not many, as many people just said that it was good and that they liked it. Only a few people actually told me what I could improve and what did work effectively.